San Quentin sits on some of the most expensive real estate in America, a paradox of confinement amidst affluence. Perched dramatically on the very edge of the San Francisco Bay, its location is both stunning and strategically significant. Its weathered concrete and wire stand in stark contrast, a visual representation of the divide between incarceration and freedom. To the shimmering city skyline just across the water, a constant reminder of the world beyond its walls. Opened in 1852, making it a historical landmark in its own right. It's California's oldest prison, a relic from the Gold Rush era, a time when the state was rapidly transforming, but also a symbol of hard time and the ultimate punishment, a place where lives are often redefined by confinement. The serene bay on one side offering a glimpse of tranquility, the imposing walls on the other, a stark reminder of the reality within. It feels more like a fortress than a prison, designed to contain and control. Guard towers loom, ever vigilant, watching over a place heavy with history, a silent witness to countless stories, and the ghosts of 170 years of a legacy etched in stone and steel, desperation, a feeling that permeates the very air, hope flickering in the darkness, and violence an ever-present threat. San Quentin's reputation precedes it, a name synonymous with incarceration. Home to California's only death row for men, a place of last appeals and ultimate finality, and infamous inmates like Charles Manson and Richard Ramirez, figures that have captured the public's imagination and fear. But that's only part of the story, a fraction of the complex reality within these walls. San Quentin is also a place of transformation, a space where individuals seek to redefine themselves, of art, providing an outlet for expression and emotion, journalism, offering a voice to the voiceless, and the search for meaning in unlikely circumstances, a quest for understanding and purpose. My goal, to delve deeper than the surface, to look past the headlines and notorious names, the sensational stories that often dominate the narrative, and understand what life is really like here today, for those who live it day in and day out. Who are the men who call these cells home for decades or for life? What are their stories? The story of San Quentin is about what happens after the gates clang shut, the lives lived behind those imposing barriers, the human capacity to adapt, to find ways to survive and even thrive in the most challenging environments, endure, to persevere in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, and sometimes to change to find redemption and a new path forward. San Quentin, a name synonymous with confinement, with punishment. But beyond the imposing walls and the razor wire, lies a complex reality. Who are the men inside San Quentin? The answer is far more complex, far more nuanced than any Hollywood stereotype could ever portray. It's a cross-section of society, a collection of lives brought together by circumstance and consequence. Yes, there are men serving life sentences for violent crimes, individuals who have committed terrible acts, but most are not the monsters we imagine. They're individuals, each with their own story, their own regrets, and their own sense of lost time. They are human beings grappling with the weight of their actions. Many entered San Quentin as teenagers, their lives derailed by a single catastrophic mistake, a moment of poor judgment that forever altered their path. Now, decades later, they're middle-aged men, their youth a distant memory, their lives defined by the slow, relentless passage of prison time. They've grown up within these walls, some maintain their innocence, clinging to the hope of exoneration, fighting their cases from the prison law library, poring over legal documents. Their hope flickers against seemingly insurmountable odds, fueled by the belief that justice will eventually prevail. Others come from all walks of life, a diverse tapestry of backgrounds and experiences. There are former businessmen, teachers, individuals who once held positions of respect and responsibility in the outside world, men from stable, loving homes and those who never had one, those who were failed by the system long before they arrived here. What unites them isn't inherent evil but circumstance, the shared experience of incarceration. Living under the same strict rules, confined to the same patch of land, their lives dictated by the rhythms of prison life. Curtis, who has been inside for 28 years, told me with a sense of profound change, "I'm not the 19-year-old who came in here. That person is a stranger now. I barely recognize him." Redemption is a recurring theme within these walls, a constant striving for self-improvement. Men trying to understand their past mistakes, to atone for their actions, and to become someone better, someone worthy of forgiveness. San Quentin's population is anything but a monolith. It's a complex and diverse community. It's a tapestry woven from individual tragedies, from devastating mistakes, and from the long, arduous search for meaning and purpose in a place designed to strip it away. Each man's story is unique, shaped both by the unforgiving system in which they are trapped and by the choices they make, good and bad, within that system. The reality inside San Quentin is far more human, far more nuanced, and far more complicated than the sensationalized headlines and the simplistic narratives often suggest. Inside these imposing walls, the search for redemption, for meaning, and for a glimmer of hope never really ends. It continues day after day, year after year. Are there women prisoners at San Quentin? The answer is simple. No. San Quentin has always been a men's prison from its 19th century origins to today. California's female inmates are housed elsewhere in places like Chowchilla and Corona. The all-male environment shapes the prison's culture, creating a unique social dynamic and hierarchy. Women you see here are staff, volunteers, or visitors, a reminder of the outside world. But the men inside navigate a world defined by shared gender and shared confinement. A day at San Quentin starts before dawn with the clang of metal and the first count everyone in their bunk accounted for. Breakfast is quick and functional, served in a noisy hall. Afterward, the prison comes alive, some head to jobs in the laundry or kitchen, earning cents an hour, others to the yard, the social heart of the prison. For many, the day is a blank slate filled with walking lifting weights or simply passing time. San Quentin stands out for its programs, college courses, addiction recovery workshops on everything from finance to emotional intelligence. These are lifelines offering hope and a break from monotony, but not everyone gets access. For many, survival is the day's only goal. As evening falls, men return to cramped cells, the final count is taken, and the noise fades. Night brings reflection, regret, and loneliness, the true weight of a life sentence settling in. The routine is relentless, but within it, men find ways to endure. Every day is a test of patience, resilience, and hope. The smallest routines become anchors. In the quiet, the reality of confinement is inescapable. Within the confines of the yard, a symphony of stories unfolds, each one a testament to lives lived and choices made. Ronnie, now serving a life sentence for a gang-related shooting he committed at the tender age of 17, vividly described his harrowing early years, painting a picture of survival in a brutal environment. You're just a kid thrown into a world ruled by predators. Survival means you either become one of them, or you risk being consumed entirely. His turning point emerged unexpectedly through a peer counseling group, a space for vulnerability and shared experience. It was there he began facing his deep-seated trauma, not only mourning the victim of his crime, but also the potential he himself had lost. Now, transformed, he dedicates his time to mentoring younger inmates, offering guidance and support, desperately hoping to steer them away from the destructive path he once walked. But not all stories within these walls offer such clear paths to redemption. There's the story of one man, institutionalized since his teenage years, who has spent so much of his life inside, that he now fears the uncertainties and challenges of the outside world far more than the familiar confines of prison. Here, within these walls, I know exactly who I am, what my place is, but out there, I'm just nobody, lost in the crowd. Prolonged incarceration can slowly erode an individual's ability to function effectively in the outside world, diminishing essential life skills, leaving some men feeling utterly lost and unprepared even before they take their first steps of freedom. Family visits, when they occur, are often rare, precious, and intensely emotional experiences. I witnessed a particularly poignant scene, a man meeting his adult daughter and grandson for the very first time, separated by the cold, unforgiving barrier of plexiglass. 20 long years of separation, of missed birthdays and milestones, bridged in just a few fleeting hours. These moments, filled with both joy and sorrow, are simultaneously beautiful and heartbreaking, stark reminders that the far-reaching impact of crime extends far beyond the prison walls, deeply affecting families and communities. Every story contained within these walls represents a complex collision of past choices and present realities, a life shaped by decisions made and consequences faced. The relentless search for connection, for forgiveness, and for a sense of meaning continues, an ongoing struggle for many. Some, against all odds, manage to find it. Others tragically never do, remaining lost within the system. The cold, unforgiving concrete world of San Quentin is filled with echoes, resonating with the weight of countless lives. Echoes of profound regret, flickering embers of hope, and the constant, unwavering struggle to be seen as something more than just a number, a statistic, a faceless inmate. Truly listening, without judgment, is the only path towards genuine understanding. The stories that unfold here are as complex, as multifaceted, and as deeply human as the men who live them each and every day. In a cramped newsroom, the San Quentin News is produced, written, edited, and published by inmates. It's real journalism, reporting on policy changes, prison events, and legislative news that affects the incarcerated. Editorial meetings are passionate, debates lively. The mission is clear: to inform, to give voice, to reclaim narrative. For men silenced by the system, the newspaper is a lifeline, a way to matter, to be heard. The motto, the pulse of San Quentin. Stories range from baseball games to in-depth analyses of criminal justice reform. Juan, an editor, told me, "The paper pushes back against the feeling of powerlessness. It tells you that you still matter." The impact reaches beyond the walls. Read by other prisons, lawmakers, and the public, it humanizes the men inside, challenging stereotypes and showing the power of rehabilitation. In a place built for punishment, the act of telling your own story is a quiet revolution. If the newspaper is San Quentin's voice, the last mile is its future. Inmates learn to code, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, in a classroom just steps from death row. The goal: real tech skills for real jobs after release. It's a radical idea, turning prisoners into software engineers, preparing for Silicon Valley from inside prison walls. Chris, a participant, said, "I used to take from the community. Now, I want to build things, to create value." The program's name refers to the final stretch before release, the hardest part for many. Graduates have landed jobs at major tech companies, proving that rehabilitation is possible and valuable. The classroom buzzes with hope and ambition, a stark contrast to the despair elsewhere. Here, men invest in a future, building new identities one line of code at a time. The last mile is more than a class. It's a bet on second chances. It's proof that talent and potential can be found anywhere, even here. In San Quentin, innovation and redemption can go hand in hand. East Block, Death Row, is a world apart. Hundreds of men live here under a sentence of death, even as executions remain on hold. Life is 23 hours a day in a single cell with little privacy and constant tension. Many have been here for decades, appeals dragging on, their lives in limbo. "You don't live here," one man told me, "you exist, you wait." Some become jailhouse lawyers or artists, fighting to assert their humanity in a place designed to erase it. Death Row is a paradox, condemned by society, yet still searching for meaning. Its existence casts a long shadow over the prison, a monument to punishment, even as other programs point toward rehabilitation. San Quentin's contradictions are starkest here. Men encouraged to better themselves, yet told they are beyond redemption. Death Row is the institution's darkest heart, a place of waiting and uncertainty. It's a reminder of the state's ultimate power, and its deepest questions about justice. Here the struggle is not just to survive, but to matter. Even on death row, the fight for humanity continues. Leaving San Quentin, the world outside feels overwhelming. Freedom, noise, and color rush back in. The prison is a place of brutal reality and surprising hope, stagnation and change. Its contradictions mirror those of the American justice system: punishment and rehabilitation, despair and possibility. The most powerful lesson is the undeniable humanity of the men inside. Their stories complicate the narrative, forcing us to see the capacity for change alongside the capacity for violence. San Quentin is home to both death row and some of the nation's most forward-thinking programs. It asks, what is the purpose of prison, punishment, or a path to something better? The story of San Quentin is about us, our beliefs about justice, forgiveness, and redemption. The real walls are the ones we build in our minds. The stories from inside challenge us to tear those walls down,